Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I can
Good.
see.
How's your morning going?
It's been good.
Cool.
Boys got up super early, so
Did they?
yeah, before
Yeah.
6.
You're always up early. And it's
Yeah,
probably because of the boys, right?
yeah, mostly. My alarm's set for 5:30, knowing that they'll be up shortly after.
Cool. So yeah, just wanted to connect with you. You've had a lot going on this last year, and obviously building your team this year, and the just level of involvement that you've had with the new people coming in through the relocation side, and also getting into leasing and all that sort of thing. So just thought it'd be a good time to kind of catch up with you and chat
Yeah,
about that. And then also touch on the new construction side of things, because I think that you just naturally have had a whole bunch of buyers that, have been interested in the new construction inventory. And so that's
hmm
kind of thrown you into the market, but then also working with the developer, local developers, and just trying to identifying, the type of properties that they want.
right.
And then chatting through, I guess, everyone, there's so many different types of properties out there, right? You have the
hmm
ones that, may have been investments over the years, and they're kind of sitting there dilapidated and not, um, really are needing a developer to purchase it because that's the
Right,
highest and best use. And
right,
then you have kind of the middle ground properties where they, the owners try to fix them up and then sell them for top dollar. And then of course you have the new construction stuff for newer products. So
hmm
just honing in on exactly what, developers are looking for, in case there's anyone out there that, may have a rental property in Seattle or on the east side, or even just a property that, family owned. I think we see a lot of estates, that inherit these properties, and then,
hmm
the family members don't really want to put the time, energy, and effort into it. So
right.
let's kind of dive into the new construction aspect of all this. What are you seeing out there in terms of inventory, just in general, for the new construction product?
Yeah, so I think in Seattle, I mean, the new construction is predominantly townhomes or custom builds, like one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, the people that we're working with are I mean, yeah, specific custom home builders that are, buying lots, but, kind of on the outskirts of town, there's a new community going up in Black Diamond called 10 Trails.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the majority of the large builders are out there. So you have Lennar, you have D.R. Horton, you have Toll Brothers now,
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Monarch. They're kind of all out there. And I think they're envisioning that whole community as kind of being a closer Tahale, like that's
Yeah.
in Bonnie Lake.
Yep.
So eventually there's going to be a school and there's going to be commercial and retail out there. So that's kind of what I'm seeing out there. I believe there was a Seattle Times article out maybe 3 or 4 months ago saying that the booming areas, surprisingly, are Black Diamond, Granite Falls in
Oh
Northeast,
yeah. Yeah.
and Bonnie Lake.
And Bonnie Lake.
So yeah, so it's
Yeah,
it's crazy. So that's
that's
kind of what I'm seeing. I mean, there's townhome builders, just in like Shoreline and Bothell. We closed on one in like Kenmore Bothell. That was kind of a smaller builder. They're located in Northeast Seattle. It was
mm-hmm.
called The Landing.
Yep.
So my clients purchased out there, and then I actually saw on Instagram, I think they're doing another development, probably with the same builder.
Yep.
And then, Blue Fern, they're doing a bunch of 7 townhome lots in Shoreline. I think they're doing some stuff in South Seattle and stuff coming up in Lake City as well. And then on the north end too, you have Pacific Ridge. They have a new community in South Everett called The Park, and those
Mm-hmm.
ones are getting incrementally released. Have a couple of buyers circling around those areas. And then, you go up to Lake Stevens and you're finding the same thing. That I think the single family homes are kind of done. I don't know if they can build much more.
Yeah.
So they're having townhomes now released. There's a new townhome community called the Farmhouse up there that, again, they're kind of incrementally releasing those. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, even on new builds, they're having, 7 and 8 offers on everything, which is crazy.
Easy.
But it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
What can we talk just general price points? Like, where are you seeing kind of the values, and where are you seeing kind of the, like, wow, that's, crazy price?
Yeah, I mean, in Seattle, I mean, you can actually find a townhome that's around 1,000 square feet for under 550.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, I mean, West Seattle or Southwest Seattle, almost to like High Point and um, Greenwood. There's some new ones that are, I can't remember who the agent is. He's with Keller Williams, but he's got some new spots just south of 145th, that are right
Hmm.
there. They're kind of around 600, but shoreline for townhomes is anywhere between like 650 and 700. You go northeast to Bothell and Kenmore, you're looking anywhere between like 750 and 950, obviously just dependent upon the size. Lennar has a townhome community in Bonnie Lake, and when they first got released, they were at like 350.
Hmm.
So I was actually pushing people to be like, go buy these now because they're not going to be at 350 forever.
Seriously, that's a bargain.
That is a bargain. And yeah, I have somebody that's looking to buy like three or four in a lot.
Yeah.
And that's well within his price point for
Yeah.
each unit. And that's the one kind of handcuff with the big builders is that this specific client, he wants all of the units on one purchase and sale so he can lump all title together.
Yep.
But the big builders just won't do that. So
Yeah. Gotcha. Yes,
yeah.
we have so Bunny Lake, obviously, for those of you who don't know, is where I grew up. And you've done actually last year or the year before, you did quite a few deals kind of down in that area, actually not too far
Mhm.
from my parents' house.
Yeah.
And Tala is a community that we've watched kind of evolve over time. And actually, whenever I go to my parents' house, we go up there and kind of do all the trails and kind of check on, everything that's going on up there.
Right.
But yeah, it is pretty crazy to see all the new development and everything that is going on down there for sure.
Yeah.
Amy, one of my good friends, actually on here, and she just kind of said, is buying a new construction a smart move kind of at this point in time? And what's your opinion on that?
I would say yes, as long as it's not in the city of Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at like mass builders or the big builders, then I would say that yes, it's a good investment. The one area I forgot to mention, Toll Brothers has a community in Duval
Hmm.
that I think they're trying to ramp up similar to 10 Trails. I think Toll Brothers is the first one out there, but I think others are going to find their way in too. So I would say yes, it's a good investment as long as you get in early in the build process. Units that are for sale, I think you're going to end up overpaying,
Yeah.
and it's just going to take a little bit longer to kind of see the overall return on investment.
Hmm. I can see that. New construction's nice because if you are a new home buyer and you don't want the hassle or you don't have the time or even excess cash to spend to update,
Yeah,
your home, basically that's, a great, and even if it's a little bit on the smaller side of, let's say you have like a 5 to 10 year projection of wanting to be in the house, even if it's
right.
maybe on smaller square footage, something that you can live in now, when you go to resell that property and let's say a 3 to 5 year period, you'll be in a much better position than if you were to have a, maybe an older home that you had to put money into to get it back up to speed. And then you're dealing
Right.
with selling an older home at that time. You're just not going to be able to maximize value. So there is and not to say that those purchases, the, older fixer uppers and all that stuff is not a good investment. I just think for certain people, but yeah, it's the new product is good as a good investment for certain people for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And the tricky thing, if you're looking online or if you're working with an agent who's kind of sending you over stuff from the MLS feed, Pulte and Toll Brothers, they set kind of like the base price, and
mhm.
then you have the option to do a bunch of add-ons. So it's like the base price plus the add-ons. So I don't know. I know like Harbor Homes and Lennar and I think DR Horton, they kind of have like you're buying what it is,
Mhm.
but Pulte and Toll Brothers and JK Monarch might do the same thing where you can kind of go in, you buy the lot, you buy kind of what the floor plan is, and then you have the opportunity to do a bunch of add-ons, which makes it even more important to find out about a community really early on, and then that
Take
way
your
you have
position.
that. Yeah, we closed on a spot. It's a Lennar build in when did we close? Like late October, and we were, I mean, emailing like last April or March or April. We were like the first people to buy the lot. They were in contract for 749. The house is 2,500 square feet, and that exact same, the last home just sold, I believe, exact same model, sold for like just over $1 million.
Yeah. It's a
So in
good,
like 8 months, they've gained 250,000 in
that's
equity.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bizarro out there.
Yeah, that is a good get in early, and also for those who are making life transitions, and it allows you something to plan for too.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's new construction builds are good for
Yeah, and be patient too, because
everyone.
I mean, it's
Oh,
not something that you're gonna,
yeah.
I mean, you can't move into in 30 days. It's gonna be, kind of seeing it down the
Yep.
line. So,
Nice. So flipping, is there anything else you want to touch on to buyers out there who might be looking at new construction? Any advice or?
I will say the one thing, or one last thing is, it's still wise to get pre-approved through, your agent's preferred lender, or whoever you are working with. But most builders are going to require you to get pre-approved through the in-house mortgage company. So
Mhm.
Pulte has their own, Toll Brothers has their own. I think I think everybody has their own. So they're gonna try to be competitive and offer you incentives. The people that I just closed with, it was a Pulte home in Black Diamond. The incentives were just too great. Yeah,
Yep.
I think the percentage, that the rate that they got on their loan was a little bit higher than what Caliber could offer, but I think they had like 10,000 to cover closing
Closing costs.
costs.
Yeah.
So it was just so. And you
Yep.
can always refi out of that too. So
Totally. I think probably one of the things I would mention is that even though, let's say there's a site rep or someone that's repping the developer, and we talk about this also with new construction condos,
right,
it is, you can go to the office and put in your reservation, but it's always good to work with someone who's working on your behalf.
yeah,
Because those site sale representatives, they're representing the seller, the
yeah,
developer, and so working with someone who has the knowledge of how new construction works, the
right,
timelines, the different things. I mean, that is just so valuable for buyers. So if you're out there,
totally.
don't skimp on that. Make sure that you're working with people who know how to deal with new construction and to
Yeah.
represent you in the best way. So,
Yeah, I mean, the one that, I won't say what the builder was, but we had one recently where it was definitely in my client's best interest to at least have me in their court, even though my clients were very proactive in the communication process. But
yep.
it's not my personality to get aggressive and like lay the smack down.
Yeah.
But it was definitely necessary in this instance, because there was just no urgency to get stuff done. And we actually had to push the close date because the builder didn't finish things based off of the inspection. I mean, it was a whole
Yeah. Go.
bunch of things that did not go smoothly. So,
Yeah. Good. So on the flip side then, because we are working with a couple local developers, one in particular, and and also because we work with so many rental properties, we kind of
mhm.
see the targeted properties that would be good for them. But speaking to maybe some people out there who might be thinking, oh, I should sell this property to a developer or whatever, why don't we talk
Right.
about what they're looking for? Just so we could kind of, cast a web on, you know, search
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah. So the criteria points that the people we're working with, they're looking for a minimum of 3,000 square foot lot, less than 6 feet topography, kind of throughout the lot. The areas that we're targeting are West Seattle, some areas of South Seattle, as long as the margins work, Central District, Capitol Hill, Madison Valley, Madrona, all those areas, maybe less shy. Northeast Seattle up to 100th, Ballard, maybe Broadview, but it has to be west of 3rd, Magnolia, Queen Anne. And then just recently, they started engaging us in talks about looking West Bellevue, Kirkland. The lot size out in those areas is a little bit larger,
Mm-hmm.
just because because the overall, they're viewing it as a luxury property out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of it. They have a bunch of different they have a bunch of different floor plans or ideas or things that they can do. So at least on our end, I found that it's really hard to gain a pulse as to what they're exactly thinking for every specific lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do know that they're kind of being a bit more aggressive in acquisitions this year than they were a year ago. I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, the market is just crazy right now.
Yeah.
And I think they're finding just a scarcity in their inventory on the acquisition side. Surprisingly enough, they actually hit their marks for last year, which, I mean, yeah, I mean, good on them. I mean, we were sending them over like
Hard, yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of properties, and
Well,
yeah,
I think the key thing is that you're as a developer, you're very in tune with what your bottom line is and how much you're
right,
spending for the property, the actual land, because that's
totally,
your largest cost, right? And so
yeah,
I could see how you would be kind of scrupulous on that as the main detail, right?
right,
And then topography is something that, in Seattle we're challenged with because we have so many
totally,
hills and so the if you can minimize that, then you don't have to put in the energy and effort and actually,
right,
leveling land and going through that with, the landscaping and all that sort of thing too.
yeah.
So yeah, I know it's a long, I know you work so hard and scouting properties for them. And I know that, obviously they're happy with that as well, because
Yeah,
you're on the ground seeking out all the unique ones. But
yeah,
what I think for this one in particular, in terms of, I guess you want to talk about price range, what, like ideally kind of what we're seeing these developers looking to stay
yeah.
around.
So in Bellevue Kirkland, they're looking for anything under 2.2. That's kind of what they said their max is. I sent
Sorry.
them over a
Yep.
property that
Okay.
was like, you're fine. That was like 7 million in West Bellevue. That, I mean, was a definite tear down, but they just, I mean, it was a huge lot, like half acre in Clyde Hill.
Mhm.
So I think they can make those numbers work. It's just a matter of what the exit value is.
Yep.
In the city or in Seattle, I would say probably their max is 900, 950.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's pretty specific. What we found is that the more realistic price point is probably under 650 or 700. They did just receive an influx of cash for kind of a specific um, design where they're not necessarily going to look at exit value too much. They're going to be looking more at how much they can rent out each unit for. So that's kind of changed some of their scope, and I think how aggressive they're being. I mean, we lost out on one yesterday in West Seattle. It was a 9,000 square foot lot. Um, they had 24 offers, and we came in second.
Oh, that's
And
pretty good.
yeah, we got second. So, that felt good. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, if
But
you top five nowadays, you're
I
sitting
know.
good.
And that's even with pending feasibility too. So I was
Yeah,
like, okay, we got two or
that's
number
funny.
two, and we're pending feasibility. So, but I mean, we escalated 165,000 higher than what the list price was, and somebody still came in higher than us, which is,
Crazy.
yeah. Anyways, they're financed too, so they're gonna have insane work to do on appraisal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on market stuff is kind of tricky right now, just because there's so many end users looking for end users. I mean, like people looking for primary
Homes. Yeah.
residences. Yeah, not to tear them down and then rebuild, or even just flip.
Yep.
So even those people that do look to flip, I think they're going to have a really difficult time right now. Getting in there at a realistic price point. Adding 50 to 100,000 in upgrades, and then trying to recoup that same amount. I think it has to be hard for that
Yeah, for
group
sure.
too.
I mean, and then you start talking about compromising quality of those type of the flips, and then
Totally.
there'll probably be no doubt that they'll be able to sell it, because our market is so crazy right now. Someone will
Yeah,
buy the product,
yeah,
but you have to be very, very into your numbers and very, very
yeah,
quick and very efficient, and making sure, especially with the older homes, making sure you're
yeah,
doing all systems and all that sort of thing too. So
yeah. And I mean, that's even with the highs and lows of navigating, the acquisitions for these guys. I mean, still learned a lot, and they're super dialed in with their process, and so
mhm.
it's been a fun experience, but also frustrating, just because we'll get into contract, and then they'll do the feasibility, and they're like, no, this doesn't work, and I'm like, crap. So
But we won that one for you.
I know I
I
had to
know it's
pull
struggle to
strings.
find it, to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
So
hear you. Um, what I know we've seen some of what their product is looking at, like in the future, their future builds. Why don't you
yeah.
talk a little bit about kind of the trends that we're seeing in the new construction stuff they're spitting out?
Yeah, I think for them specifically, I mean, they're a builder that came up from Southern or from California, and so they're looking to make their way. But I don't know, like contemporary farmhouse, it's kind
Mhm.
of, I mean, I think there's a lot of custom builders probably originally located in Seattle or the Northwest, and they've kind of done these contemporary Northwestern, kind of
The
square,
boxes.
and
Yeah.
these are more, I don't know, contemporary farmhouse, kind of
Farmhouse.
contemporary craftsman type things. So they're beautiful homes. I mean, I can't wait for them to be finished with a couple of them, and then just kind of go look at them and see the finished product because, yeah, they're going to be really dialed in. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. So
Yeah. I think so too. Very elevated quality product.
totally,
Um, that does, it's like that chic farmhouse,
yeah,
like you said, craftsman style. So they have character, you know.
yeah.
I think some of the other product that you're viewing out there, just as a whole, like are developers making extra spaces for like home offices? Are they, smart home technology? Like, what are the trends that you're seeing there?
In terms of smart home technology, I mean, Lennar, they're kind of doing that. Obviously, we're not going to find that a ton in the city, but I mean, a lot of the big builders are kind of integrating that. The cool thing about the people that we're working with, if you get, if you find out about the property or you purchase it far enough down the line, you can kind of make some tweaks to the overall internal floor plan. So if you do want a home office or kind of, create the fifth bedroom, kind of geared towards something different.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that there's some tech that could be added in the event that that was something that was, important to you.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about them is that they're small enough that they can kind of build what their product is, but create some customizations so that it fits what the buyer's looking for.
Yeah.
And not all builders are like that. So
Cool. Um, are there, as far as like parking and stuff goes, I mean, is the one, what are you seeing in terms of garage space?
in the city or kind of out.
Just in general. I think in the city, obviously, zero parking is whatever. Just
Yeah,
use
I
the
mean,
land.
yeah, exactly. Like some of the floor plans or what they're looking for. It's just they're banking on street parking. Um, in terms of outside, well, like the townhomes in Shoreline that I toured recently, they have two-car garages that are like
Okay.
legit two-car garages.
Yep.
Um, some people or some developers, I think, are just kind of creating like a small parking lot if it's just, four townhomes, and then,
Got it.
each one uh, gets a spot. The one that I toured in Shoreline that wasn't Blue Fern, it was somebody else. They didn't have any parking, but the way that the lot was constructed, parking would be very tricky. So it
Mm.
kind of had like two spots. I'll do this here, two spots here and four spots here. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
where my
So
pinky is, and yeah, it just wouldn't.
wouldn't work.
You're gonna frustrate some neighbors.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. The one in Bothell, they had a two-car garage. But I mean, most of them are
Must have
kind of
them.
incorporating parking. Yeah, the
Yep.
ones in South Everett that Pacific Ridge is doing, they kind of have a couple of different garage scenarios. So some are
Hmm.
tandem, some are side by side. One's just like one garage and then one in front that's outside. So
Yep.
I've kind of seen it all at this moment.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah,
Anything else that you think we should touch on as far as new construction?
I don't think so. I mean, the people we're working with, they're still hungry. They're still wanting to acquire properties. I mean, their process is really intricate and seamless, and they have vendors that they work with to do geotech and um, sewer scopes. And I mean, we're not really having to navigate the inspection of the actual home. It's just more of like, can the lot hold what they're wanting to do? But yeah,
And
so if you know,
for the most part, that's done up front. I think there's only certain special circumstances, like the one that we had, where you have to actually have a surveyor out there and
yeah.
do a little bit more, research for things that have a little bit of more slope.
Right. But even the one that we went into contract on in Maple Leaf,
Yep.
they still had to kind of do the whole thing to make sure that I think that's just a part of their process,
Yep.
at least for these guys specifically.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they're still hungry, looking for spots. I know that there's not a lot of people wanting to do off market right now, but our people are willing to, create like a good offer if you know of anybody.
Yep.
So
Good. All right. Well, thank you. You're
yeah, thanks for the
quite the
time.
hustler. I know you're always in the car and, buzzing
Not
around.
today.
And you cover everywhere from, down south, up north, east and west. So
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how the relocation, I mean, how kind of built the business, because everything's kind of been word of mouth at this point. Just now, I mean, we're ramping up marketing because of this team that's now been constructed, and find value in that. But yeah, I mean, just have to keep trucking.
keep it up.
Keep it
Yep.
up.
Gotta keep saying yes. That's basically,
Yeah, I keep
you know,
saying yes, but like make sure I can try to get home at 5 o'clock.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Just fit everything in, as much stuff as
yeah,
you can in.
exactly.
So, good. Well, thank you, Brenden.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yep, we will wrap this up. If anyone has any additional questions, feel free to reach out. We'll post Brendan's contact information, and we'll be reposting this video as well. And of course, if you have any properties or know someone who has a property that you think might fit the general scope of what this particular developer is looking for, or not, and you just have a lead on a property that you like to chat about, we might have someone else that might be in line. So thank you. Happy Friday, everyone. Have a safe weekend.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.